What's going on, my friends? Eddie Walker here. Today we're going to be talking about ways to improve your arrangement. Let's just get into it. So whenever you're making an arrangement, you want to think about engaging the listener. So you have the exposition where you're explaining characters. In our realm, we are introducing our main melody. Then you have the rising action. Most of the song falls into this category of the rising action. You have the climax, usually it's going to be your big chorus, so your big bridge, and then the falling action and resolution, which isn't as big inside the context of music. If we just do a comparison of this track that I'm doing, I don't have a name for it yet. Right now it's called Pop Epic. But if I do a comparison from the start of the song to the end of the song, you can tell there is a development from the beginning melody, establishing the melody, to the end where we've built it up and we've established where it is we're trying to go. So let's take a listen. First part, introducing the melody. This ends up building all the way up to be this part here. Throughout my entire arrangement, I'm trying to connect my exposition or my main idea, the idea I started with, and trying to connect it to the very end where everything is built up and everything is high energy. Side note, I typically will start producing my songs at the end because I feel like it's easier to start with everything, every idea, every concept, start with it right away and then work backwards. How do we get to this big part at the end? We start with something simple, build to the end. Another thing with arrangement is instrument addition. In each part of the song, I'm adding different layers, I'm adding different parts. There is a anticipation, a pull for the person that's listening. So let's kind of compare some of these parts. So this is the first A section. Very simple progression. We've added drums, we've added bass. Now the next time I come back to this, I've added some more layers. And I've also added this, where is it? Belt pad. And what this is doing is doubling up, another tip, doubling up on the main melody. So something that you can do for your arrangement to bring excitement is double up on melodies and themes that you already have there in different voices and different instrumentation altogether. Another thing to help your arrangement move forward is what we call in the industry ear candy. In this track, I'm using different elements for transitions or just a quick feature of a new instrument just to keep your ears kind of engaged. So let's listen to some of the ways that I'm doing that in this arrangement. So coming out of this B section, I'm using some kind of swells and impacts to kind of make this part kind of come alive. So let's listen coming out of this B section. It can be very simple or it could be very complex, but what it's doing is giving the listeners something to grab onto in their ears, like they're grabbing on a new sound, like, oh, that keeps their interest. Look here at the beginning, how we use kind of another ear candy type sound here. Another way you can help move your arrangement along are with fills. So typically the way I use fills is I use them in an established part, something that I've already established, that this is kind of the regular way that it's going to go throughout the song, but adding a fill kind of gives it some variation. So you're not just sitting and listening to the same thing throughout the whole song. I also use fills to kind of introduce new sounds. Let me show you how I did it here. So these synth strings that I have here, the way I introduce them, I don't just jump right into them because it's a new sound. So what I do is I just add it in just 2 pickup notes to make it fit in there. So that da-da, so that gives me a way to introduce a new sound without it being like an abrupt, just in your face. Like, it almost gives you time to warm up to it. Once again, using fills on the bass synth that I had already established earlier in the song just mixes it up a little bit so you stay engaged. I also use some fills on the very last kind of climax drum section to let you know that this is a more exciting section. You can help your arrangement move forward a little bit better if you change some of the instrumentation for some of the melodies or bass lines. This is something that allows you to keep the same melodic ideas, but just change them up slightly by using different instruments. So I do this with the bass line from section A to section B. So I go from a sustained kind of almost hollow bass to a more plucky bass in the section B. This just changes it up, but I still use the same bass line, still use the same notes. I just changed up the instrumentation using a different bass, and I changed up the rhythm a little bit to keep you, once again, engaged. I'm doing the same thing with the main chord melody that you're hearing. So going from the E-piano sound to, what am I using here? Some synth pluck sound. Let's hear how that sounds. You don't want to change too much because then, you kind of take away the thing that you've already established, and now we don't know where you're going. The important thing is to keep the consistent vibe throughout the song so that, again, the name of the game is listener engagement. Keep it changing, but also keep it the same. One thing to keep in mind as producers is when it comes to working on your arrangement and producing your song, you have to come at it as a listener. Now, I know we can get a little attached to something that we create, and it's like, no, don't touch it. You're gonna have to take some things out that you may love, or you're gonna have to change them in order for them to fit inside of the song. But you can't approach your production as a producer. You have to approach it as a listener. At the end of the day, if you're wanting to release music, your music has to be engaging for another listener. It can't just be like, I think it's dope and that's it. Now, if you're thinking like that, you might as well just keep everything in-house, enjoy it for yourself. But if you're trying to release music and you're trying to put music out into the world, you have to think about, how is another person going to engage with this? How does the song engage with the listener? Keep that in mind, and your arrangements will always have people wanting more and wanting to be a part of the experience of you creating these songs. All right, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your shares. Please make sure you let somebody know about my channel. Talking about music production, talking about music, talking about the creative process, or just trying to encourage people to keep creating and find their sound and find their voice. Once again, I can't thank you enough. I am grateful for the people who continue to stay consistent with me. We'll see what this turns into. Once again, guys, thank you so much. Please leave your comments. Please share, and we'll see you again next week. Take care, guys.